Welcome to this week in the world of wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort in commentary, Ashton, and this is our Monday Night Raw review. And I have got 2 words for ya about this Raw. Perfect game. Every segment on this Raw was so on point and delivered. You guys need to understand something. For me personally, and I'm going to hand it over to my cohort here. Even when we have... Yes.
I was just going to say, this show is amazing. Like, on my scale from 1 to 10, it's a 9.5. The only reason I can't give it a 10 is because there were 2 or 3 points in the night that I was kind of starting to feel a little bit bored, but that it got recovered relatively quickly.
Oh, absolutely. What I really want people to understand, even when we have good Raws on TWitWoW and we dissect it, for me personally, it's always our show and talking it over with Ashton and interacting with you guys that makes the Raw inherently better. I can't remember the last time I was this interactive, this animated, this engaged with a Raw, since you could maybe even say the post-WrestleMania Raw, but even then it's like, yeah, I'm taking it all in, I'm enjoying it. But this, I was like a kid again. Yeah. This was absolutely amazing television for 3. And I hate the 3-hour format, and don't get me wrong, this was an anomaly at best, because I still believe Raw should be 2 hours, but for 3 hours, it kept me entertained. The stars that got featured, the people that were living on the margins of irrelevance one night, were now in the biggest spotlight that you could possibly want them to be in, and we have a lot to say about that. I cannot wait to talk about that. And stars were freaking born tonight and made. Like, what else? What else could you ask on this Raw? And I'm going to stop just talking before I go running around in circles. Ashton, what'd you think of this, man? Anything else you want to add?
No, dude, this whole show from beginning to end, like I said, there were a few little tiny moments here and there, and most of them were honestly during matches, nothing in between. There were little moments where I was like, oh, this is kind of boring, and I kind of took my attention off of it to do something on the internet or check out like the live Raw thread on the Squared Circle subreddit. But the show itself, man, from beginning to end, really just so good. Let's get into our first segment to describe just how good the show was.
Yeah, first segment, heat of the night, no freaking way. There is nothing for me to complain about, not even nitpicks, because Ashton, I'm going to assume you feel the same way, because even when you were in a lull, like, it couldn't have been that bad to even pick nits out. Like, it's just such a good show. So, I'm going to ask you, though, do you have any heats tonight or nitpicks?
Absolutely none. 0.
There you go. Goose egg, baby. Goose egg. All right. Let's get right into it because I could barely even contain myself. Let's roll right on through to our Monday Night Raw review. And we open things up with Randy Orton. And he's talking about, how he's salivating. He's so excited because it's Payback. And what an apropos name for a pay-per-view, because he's finally going to get his payback on Seth Rollins. And he talks about how the WWE fans voted and gave him this chance, but they also threw Roman Reigns into the mix. And he said that was not going to matter because at Payback, he was going to emerge from that triple threat, the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, and there's nothing that Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins can do about it. Roman Reigns then comes out, and he's talking about how, hey, I want my payback on Seth too because they have that whole history with the Shield. Not to mention, most recently, Seth screwing Roman Reigns at the main event of WrestleMania when Roman Reigns felt like he was about to beat Brock Lesnar. And so Roman Reigns and Orton kind of go back and forth over who has a greater claim to beat the crap out of Seth. And, then they're kind of touting their accomplishments. Orton's like, well, I'm a 12-time world champion. I've appeared in 12 consecutive WrestleManias. Roman, retorts that, well, I beat you at SummerSlam, so you tell me to catch up, yet I beat you. And it seems like it's getting heated. This is where it already gets excellent, because I was enjoying this, but I'm thinking, okay, Q Rollins, we have A, B, now let's get C, let's get Rollins out here, and they can all kind of talk over each other. No! Rollins doesn't come out, so he's still a mystery for tonight, and I love that. The New Day comes out. Oh, my God.
And this version of the New Day is absolute gold.
Dude, we even said, me and Ashton were talking about it, And we even said we've got to specify from this point forward heel New Day. Because as faces, they tanked. Nobody was digging it. Everybody was like, oh, it's offensive, this, that, and the other. And I'm sure you could still make those arguments. But at least now they're getting heat. And they're being hilarious. And they come out, and they're pouring salt in everybody's wounds. I think Big E said to Orton, and it was such a great line.
That was so good.
Randy, not only does Seth Rollins have your number, he has it on speed dial. They're freaking out over themselves for the burn that they got. And I'm telling you, like, I love all three guys. I've mentioned this before when we talk about Heel New Day. I love all three guys. But
Yeah.
I just feel like Xavier Woods is the star of that freaking group because, like, the faces he makes when the crowd sours on him and he's, like, feeling the positivity. Even Kofi, I've been so curious for so long how he would do as a heel. He is doing wonderful, and I think he just loves working off of his friends because Xavier Woods is talking about the power of positivity, and Kofi was like, yeah, P.O.P., baby. And I'm like, oh, my God, what a tool. I love you. I love it. And so I'm telling Ashton, like, oh, wouldn't it be great, if Orton and Reigns would face the New Day for the tag team titles? And while that didn't happen, we got something pretty close because the New Day alerts us that it's going to be a 3-on-2 handicap match, so Orton and Reigns against the whole New Day. And Ashton, before we transition into the matchup, are there any highlights you want to mention from this opening segment for you personally, or do you just want to get right into the contest?
Xavier Woods, when he first started, when he cut like the initial promo, and he said, "It is indeed a new day," and then the crowd yelled, "Sucks!" and his face changed. His facial expression changed instantly, and his facial expressions are just so good and so just golden. And yeah, I just really wanted to kind of highlight that because that was the part that made me laugh the most, aside from the whole, he has it on speed dial thing, which was great.
Xavier Woods is so good, dude, and Big E, just oh my God,
dude, all three of them, they're great.
Yeah, really, all three. I love this whole faction now that they're heel New Day is awesome.
And by the way, the other highlight of this segment, Randy Orton jamming to their music.
Yes, yes, that wins until the end of time. Thank you for bringing that up, and for no other reason, so I can laugh again. He was head bopping to that shit. I'm like, oh my God, latest convert.
He was just like, oh man, this is my jam.
Yeah, I could go with that. I just wanted Roman to kind of look at him and be like, dude, what the hell?
Yeah, really.
And then we get to this match because I'm thinking, okay, that was great. I'm loving how they're using the New Day. They're interacting with this top-level talent. They're so great at being heels. They're getting this heat. And then, I'm kind of pessimistic. I'm like, they're going to this match. Obviously Orton and Reigns are gonna win. They're gonna run roughshod over them. But no. Now, they pick the New Day apart for a lot of this match, especially Woods. Woods got taken. Like, he got taken to the woodshed, so to speak. Because, Orton was just picking him apart. He even got Garvin stomped at one point.
Yeah, I was going to say, it was Orton and Reigns were both really picking Woods apart. He got just mutilated in this match.
Yeah, but then Big E comes in, and the tide slowly starts to turn. But then, babyfaces get back in control. Then Kofi and Orton are in, and it really just comes down to them. And Orton, he looks like he's primed to hit an RKO on Kofi. He's got him in that position. Woods tries to come in. Orton drops him with an RKO. So he's like, okay, got one out. I'm in a rhythm. I'm going to hit Kofi. Oh my God! And then he gets speared by Reigns because Kofi moved out of the way. And then Reigns, when he's like, oh, I done messed up. Big E takes him out, and Kofi pins Randy Orton. So the New Day just beat Orton and Reigns, and I am losing it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude, do you know how refreshing it is? Because I always used to hate when you'd have two, main level guys feuding with each other, or, maybe multiple guys, I don't know, depends on what the story is. And they would always, the tag team champions be like, oh, well, let's see if you can really work together and trust each other by facing the tag team champions, because it's implied, who gels better and who trusts each other more than the people that tag for a living, right? And they'd always lose, and I'd be like, oh man, that's a joke. But to actually have the tag team champions win in a tag team match, yeah, it seems straightforward and obvious, but it happens so little that it's so great when it does. Oh man, what did you think of this match, dude?
The match itself was great. I absolutely love the teamwork that Big E and Kofi have, where they'll tag each other in and out and constantly just beat the opponent up while simultaneously tagging each other constantly. It's just awesome. But to me, like, this whole Raw, I want to know who wrote this Raw. I want to know who the sort of brain trust was that were behind the booking of and writing of this Raw, because whoever it was, they need to do it forever.
Whoever you are, I love you. And I know
Yeah,
that's
like
coming
it
on.
kind of makes
I
me
know,
wonder if Chris DeJoseph came back and he's writing this episode of Raw.
I know that's coming on really strong, but I love you, and this is your life now.
This
Just
is your
writing
life
these
now.
Raws.
Yeah.
Just writing these Raws and accepting my affection. I know it's awkward, but you'll get used to it. And
Yeah, you do get used to it. Trust me, I've been with him for a couple years.
the New Day wins. Dude, the way these guys have been built up since their turn is amazing.
Yeah.
It went from, and here's the thing, Ashton, and I gotta say this before we move on to our next segment. It went from when they turned heel, okay, at least they'll work, and I could be happy about that, to, oh my god, they might just be the best thing on the product.
Yeah.
Like,
I think they have a legitimate contention to be the most entertaining thing on WWE right now.
You even said it. So, like, you know, I'm glad you said it again, because, yeah, you even brought it to me, like, dude, I think the New Day may just be the most entertaining thing, you know, going right now. And I'm like, oh, man, and I think you're right. So happy for them they got this win. Yes! Yes! It's a new day! Yes, it is! So, they get the win. You have Kane backstage, and the New Day is already celebrating. It's like, yeah, we did it, Kane! We did it! You would have thought they won the freaking Super Bowl. It was amazing. Seth Rollins comes up, and, you know, he pretty much equates Kane's actions to the naughty kid that tries to do really well, you know, the night before Christmas so that they don't get cold. You know, Kane's really screwed up a lot, and now he's trying to make up for it before the Authority comes back. Kane, of course, makes a joke where, you know, I don't really get your analogy because I always used to wait by the fireplace with the blowtorch to, you know, roast Santa's chestnuts, ha. And, you know, again, tension seemed to boil over. He says, you know what, it's not really fitting if we're going to make you the champion we want you to be that you're not doing anything tonight. It just seems weird, not best for business that you would just sit on the sidelines. So Seth Rollins is going to have a return match from SmackDown against Dean Ambrose, only this time J&J Security is banned from ringside. Obviously, Rollins blows a gasket thinking, you know, why are you doing this? You know, that's stupid. That's not best for business. But it's happening, so we know we're getting Rollins and Ambrose. Again, you know what? I think as long as Kane doesn't get physically involved in the ring, which I do think is an inevitability, I do like him in this role, just kind of screwing with Seth. Like, you know, and really, you know, Seth just keeps opening his mouth, and maybe he'll learn, maybe he won't, but I think it makes for fun TV. If this is, you know, the limit of their interaction, I can forgive it, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we go from that to Renee Young being in the ring, and she introduces Ryback, comes out to, a decent pop, nothing too spectacular.
Yeah, the crowd was really lukewarm with Ryback tonight. I was disappointed in them.
But, you know, she asks Ryback if, you know, he knows why did Ryback attack you. You know, Ryback says, you know, I don't know, but it was the stupidest thing Bray Wyatt could have done. The crowd breaks out with a huge Goldberg chant, and Ryback says, you know, hey, I love you too. And he actually wins them over with that. And he says, you know, if you just ignore it, they will just keep doing it. And then they start doing a feed me more chant. So I think Ryback acknowledging them so directly, they're like, man, most people would just brush us off. So I guess maybe he kind of earned their respect there. And then he talks about fear, and he kind of equates fear with his injuries that, you know, were career-threatening, like breaking his ankle and things like that, and being told, oh, you'll never wrestle again, you'll never do what you love again. And so Ryback says, yeah, I know fear very well. What I do is I take fear and I eat it, and I let it rest in the pit of my stomach, and I turn it into positives. The time for talking is done. It's feeding time. And Ryback's just amped up. He's pumped up, ready to go. Bray Wyatt appears on the screen, and he says that, you know, you paint yourself, you present yourself as this untouchable force, but deep down we all know you're a scared little boy. And, you know, Bray talks about fear a little bit and says everything Ryback loves will fade away, and in time, so will he. Run. And it cuts. So, you know what, dude? Again, it's like we said on last Raw when we talked about this program, you know, with Bray attacking Ryback. It's a fresh program. These guys have never interacted with each other. I liked Ryback's promo. I think it took a lot of gumption for him to try and take control of the crowd back and get them on his side. I think this program has promise. I really do. I'm looking forward to the payback match.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, that's... Man, I feel like I'm speechless just because I don't even know what else to say about how amazing this Raw was.
Yeah, absolutely. I just feel like, man, everything was so on point. The programs they set up, just everything they did, I really didn't have any complaints with it. And that continues with this next matchup.
I mean, well, that's the thing too. Like the whole Ryback thing, man. Like it's almost like part 2 of that awesome promo that he cut on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, definitely. Just where he kind of opens himself up and really makes that connection. And again, I think Ryback's gotten so much better about, engaging the crowd, taking them head on. I love that because the Goldberg chants, first of all, Montreal, I mean, with all due respect, they made themselves look very dated bringing back those chants.
Yeah.
But Ryback handled it like a pro, man. I got to give him big ups for that. He did excellent. I'm just excited that I can stay excited about Bray because he goes in the Undertaker and then he loses and I'm like, okay, well, what's going to happen with Bray now? And now he's working with somebody that he's never worked with. So it's just great for all parties. And man, this Raw was just cooking on all cylinders tonight.
Yeah.
Then we get Cesaro and Tyson Kidd versus the Ascension. And I can sum this up in one sentence.
Cesaro
is a beast.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say one word. That's why I said Cesaro, but you said one sentence. So, yeah, that works too.
One word, one sentence. As long as it involves Cesaro, it's correct. And I love Kid to death. I mean, that is not a slight to Kid. I love this team. But what Cesaro did here and how the crowd was with him tells me that, you know what? It almost makes my heart pang with kind of regret and just makes me want to groan because it was great. This was great, but it just makes me think what could have been. Where could Cesaro have been if we really committed to him being a babyface so long ago? Because he is so good, dude. It's not even fair. There was one, and I got to talk about this moment because they even highlighted it on the corner cam. Cesaro gets a hot tag, and he is taking Victor to school with uppercuts in the corner. That has become his new, babyface thing that he does multiple times because the swing has kind of been conjoined with Tyson's dropkick as a tag team finisher.
Yep.
He just takes them from one corner to the next, and he keeps running into them with uppercuts. And because everybody on the Indies and what I was excited about when Cesaro came to the WWE was his uppercuts, you gotta love it. I was freaking out, oh my god, how many of these is gonna do? And how was Victor not even dead? How did his head not come off his shoulders? So many questions. But, yes, the Ascension did lose this matchup. You gotta forgive it though, because Cesaro and Kidd, they won their match, their return match was done by DQ. They're still the number one contenders, and I feel like the Ascension did look competent here because they did get actually quite a bit of offense in this match. They had a screen promo saying, Tyson Kidd, he's not even a real Hart, and the Hart Dynasty anyway doesn't even compare to the Ascension. And I really do. I believe that despite commentary working against them and everything else, they probably will find their footing, maybe not even this year at this rate. But you watch. They'll get a reset sometime, and then they'll just go on a tear. But for now, it's Cesaro and Tyson Kidd's time, and I can't even really be sour about that.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like this, and we say this a lot on NXT, but it's almost like this was sort of an exhibition match for Cesaro and Kidd, for them to kind of show their babyface stuff, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Completely agree. I just love, again, you had the New Day looking fantastic, and they weren't even done, and we'll get more into them later. And then Cesaro and Kidd just had this great outing, and Cesaro had that moment, which again even got featured on the corner cam. And yeah, a great tag team feud going on right now. It's great to be excited about the tag team division that doesn't even have the freaking Usos in it. So, man, just wonderful.
Yeah,
we go from that to Rollins backstage. Renee Young, she stops him and asks him for a comment about his match with Dean Ambrose, up next. And Rollins says, fine, I got 2 comments. 1, there's no point in having this match. And 2nd, Kane is a moron.
Yeah.
And then he walks off. And, all right, we got Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins. But before that match happens, we have Kane come out. And he says, you know what, Seth? I agree with you. I mean, we already really did have this match on SmackDown, so there's no point in really having it again, like this. So why don't we make a change? Why don't we change this match? And he says, if Dean Ambrose can beat you, your triple threat match at Payback becomes a fatal 4-way. Seth starts to lose it, and him and Ambrose go back and forth on the microphone whether or not it's a good idea. And then the bell rings. And now I'm going to hand it over to Ashton. Ashton, I want you to talk about this match with everything running at stake. What did you think of it, dude?
You know how earlier you summed up the Ascension versus Cesaro and Kid match in one sentence?
Yeah.
If I had to sum this match up in one sentence, I would say go watch their 30-minute Iron Man match for the FCW 15 championship.
Yeah.
That's exactly what this match was to me. Like, obviously it wasn't a carbon copy, but it was so crazily similar. There were so many repeat spots and so much of the same stuff that went down. It was awesome. I think one of my favorite spots, actually 2 different times Ambrose went for the rebound lariat, both of which were amazing. But the first time was actually outside of the ring. Seth, I don't remember if he kicked him or he punched him or something, but, he threw Dean towards the ring, trying to like either throw him into the ring or throw him so that his gut hits like the corner of the ring. And he did like a full 180-degree spin under the ropes and then did another 360-degree spin into what would eventually be a lariat. And it just looked so cool, and all that momentum getting built up for the lariat looked awesome. But then he had another moment in the ring where Rollins hit him with an enziguri, and he did the rebound lariat, and Rollins and Ambrose both did full flips from the impact of the rebound lariat. It was just great moments throughout this match. It was so good.
These guys are magic together. They really are. I mean, there's nothing where you say that. They elicited "This is awesome" chant from the crowd. The first match of, I believe, 2 to do so. And they were just so into everything these guys did. And I have to say, finally, they've given Dean Ambrose something to do.
Yeah.
He was such a pleasant surprise. To me, he always struck me as kind of like that guy on the card that could, just kind of be like on that upper mid to mid level, and but at any point could vacillate into the main event scene and just be thrust in there. And this was such a pleasant surprise for Kane to make this announcement, because when he did, I said, oh yeah, Ambrose is totally winning. And Ambrose just looked so resilient in this thing, so great. And not only that he looked like he really held his own with Rollins and reminds everybody about, their feud and their beef. J&J Security do come out towards the tail end of this match when it's just totally broken down. You know the finish is coming. And Dean was still able to thwart them and get Rollins and the Schoolboy for the win. Which this is actually one time that I don't mind the roll-up of death, because it seems to just fit so perfectly with the final moments of the match, and it just makes Rollins look like he got caught, not that Dean even really purely out-wrestled him or dominated him. Everything about this match was fantastic, and to know that Dean is in the WWE World Heavyweight Championship picture now, he's in the main event of Payback, going back to main eventing pay-per-views, this is how it should be. You and I have been asking forever, please give this man something to do. And he beat Luke Harper at Extreme Rules, but then he lost the way that he did in the King of the Ring tournament. And we're just like, we're really going to have to wait till Money in the Bank. And it feels so good to know that, no, we're not going to have to wait that long for things to really get cooking. This is amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah, oh man, not just the match, but the result of the match was goosebump inducing.
Oh, absolutely. I think for every Ambrose fan, and yes, I'm specifically talking to my co-worn commentary here, like, this is what they've been waiting for, like, Dean to get to this level, to be in this kind of picture. It sucks that it's, this league, we only have like 2 weeks left until Payback, but I mean, we have a contract signing apparently this Thursday on SmackDown, so Dean's going to be involved in that. I think they're really going to use every remaining Raw and SmackDown to build this up, and I hope Dean really gets to shine on the mic and show what he can do, because this is a great spot for him to be in.
Yeah, dude, like, the crazy thing to me is that, like, Ambrose, like, we wanted to record, we knew we wanted to record live reactions to Cena's Open Challenge because there were rumors about Sami Zayn answering it, and I'm so glad we did, because he did, and it ended up being amazing, and we actually went for almost a half hour. But this match, I wish we would have recorded our live reactions to this match too, because both of us were absolutely freaking out at every false finish. And then when Ambrose finally got the win, we flipped our lids, and it was awesome. And I wish that we could kind of recapture that and kind of bring you guys in on that experience, because we had a ton of fun watching it. And yeah, that was one of the many highlights of the night for sure.
I think, just to kind of sum it up before we move on, moments like this are the payoff for when a worker, becomes, I guess, so predictable in their outcomes or whatever, you actually call it a rule of thumb that they never win. And tonight, Dean Ambrose won, and it's just such a great feeling.
The curse was broken at Extreme Rules when he beat Harper.
That's true. Although I was beginning to suspect that maybe it was a full moon or something, because then he had the King of the Ring tournament, all kind of fiasco. But no, I mean, Dean Ambrose wins here. And he had another great spot where he got powerbombed on the barricade, and I'm like, no, they are not going to have Dean lose by countout. No, I will lose my shit. And he did get that babyface save right at 9, which I forgave because I was so into the matchup I didn't even care. Like, Dean is so good. So happy for him. We got ourselves a fatal 4-way at Payback. Man, I can't wait to do live reactions to that. But anyway, we go from that to Byron Saxton backstage with Lana as fans, of course, give her a nice pop. He asks her, point blank, he says, before I even ask you about the I Quit match, I gotta know, how are you feeling about the positive reactions you're getting from the WWE Universe lately? And she's like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about, Saxton, and says her position here is only for the betterment of, and then before she can finish, Fandango walks up and he takes the mic and he says, Lana, you just need to let the WWE's universe acceptance of you to flow through you, because the feeling is euphoric. You just need to let go. And he says, to watch this. I thought he was going to start dancing for her, and then Rusev was going to attack him. But it turns out Rusev and Fandango actually ended up having a match. And again, Raw surprises me, because I'm thinking, maybe Rusev's just going to squash Fandango, and then a post-match promo or segment, they're going to, continue that tension with Rusev and Lana. What they do is even better, much better, because you have Rusev, I guess, be disposed of by Fandango for a moment. He's able to stun him, goes outside, him and Lana make eye contact, and he starts Fandangoing. The crowd starts doing it, and then you can see Lana, she's teasing it a little bit, but then she fully gives herself to it, and she starts Fandangoing, and the crowd loses it.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you get the Fandangoing to stick around, when you have someone as beautiful as Lana do it. And then Rusev attacks Fandango. He berates Lana, tells her, you go in the back. You go in the back. Well, he said something in Russian, but I'm just assuming that's what he said. Like, go, I don't need you here, whatever. And then I start to freak out, because I'm like, wow, Rusev's really been on the outside for a while. And he's really taken his eyes off Fandango. Yeah, this is interesting. And then Fandango jumps him from behind, and then I'm like, oh, Fandango's still on offense. And then he takes me, he shoves him in the ring post once, does it again, and I'm like, oh my god. Is Rusev becoming so fixated on what Lana's doing and everything that Fandango's going to get a count-out victory? And no, because Fandango's stupid enough to put Rusev back in the ring. This is like, no, I gotta pin him. Screw that, man. You take the win however you can get it when it's against a guy like Rusev. But yes, Fandango did try, and ultimately it was a failure. He did get a little bit more offense, a few drop kicks in here and there, but he did get hit with a super kick, and he fell to the accolade very quickly. And so Rusev got the win. But man, I like how even that match teased out of us that maybe Fandango would get that hiccup win with the count out. That was really cool.
Yeah.
So anything you want to say about this, or can I move on?
It's really funny because when Lana was Fandangoing, the camera shot was perfect. They actually got a sign in the shot that said, "We want Lana," and then in parentheses, Rusev, not so much.
Yeah, that sign was magnificent. Whoever made it, you are wonderful, sir.
Yeah.
But we go from that to Stardust versus R-Truth. And you know what? I want to preface this by saying something that may be a bit unusual for me, because it seems like these two are in a program, and you know what I say to that? Good. I would rather these guys have something to do on the basis of R-Truth costing Stardust the King of the Ring, because he had a screen-in-screen promo saying, R-Truth cost me my chance to be king, ruler of the cosmos, all that stuff. And you know what? If this is going to be a little mini-feud for the undercard, I'm glad that two guys have something to do. I really am. So he says, tonight I found the way to beat Truth, and he's going to unveil it. So Stardust comes out with this bag. Then Truth comes out. They have their match. Pretty standard match, but the bag is an intriguing element because they actually make it part of the matchup. Stardust tries going for it multiple times. And then towards the end, Truth's curiosity is piqued, and he's like, well, he's so obsessed with that bag, I guess I'll neutralize it by going to take a look at what's in it. And he looks at it, and it turns out to be spiders. And then Stardust, packages them up, rolls them up, and gets the win. So Stardust wins this match, and Truth immediately makes a beeline, for the ramp, like he's kind of, running himself off, making sure he's got no spiders on him, and then he runs for it. Just absolutely runs for it. You know, R-Truth is more of a comedic babyface kind of character. He has said repeatedly for a long time about his fear of spiders. So it actually is, I get it's a pretty legit heel tactic for Stardust to prey upon that fear, even though they were plastic spiders, which commentary made fun of. And again, the basis for this feud may be a bit flimsy for some. I mean, Stardust does have a legitimate gripe. You know, I lost the King of the Ring. Now I got to take it out on the guy who beat me. So I'm glad these guys have something to do, and if they want to have a rubber match at Payback, you know, see who's going to win the third match in this little series, I wouldn't mind it, dude. I think it's good that these guys got something to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think that they're actually going to end up having a match at the pay-per-view. Maybe pre-show, but I even kind of doubt that. I think that this is just like a little mini feud to get them both on TV and kind of progress the Stardust character. Just
Right.
because I think that they're kind of getting close to that point where they're going to be ending the Stardust character and bringing back Cody Rhodes.
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
thinking the same thing.
yeah, I mean, I could be wrong there. They could just be doing this just because they need to fill TV time and don't know what else to do. But I do feel like there's a little bit of a, here I am giving the WWE enough credit to maybe almost kind of treat them like they're in the same league as Lucha Underground, but they're not. But I feel like if it was Lucha Underground's writers, they would be doing this for a reason. I don't know about WWE.
I mean, we'll see, man. I mean, and the little thing with Goldust, it still kind of feels unresolved to me, but now he's moved on to R-Truth. You know, it is what it is, but I gotta ask you something while we move on, because the next segment was the whole John Cena, Sami Zayn thing. Do you want to talk about this, or do you want to just direct everybody to our live reactions? What do you want
Oh
to
yeah, guys. Yeah, seriously, guys, just go. I have a video up right now. The title is Sami Zayn debut live reactions TWitWoW crew, and just go watch that. We both loved it. To sum things up, Sami Zayn debuted in his hometown after being introduced by Bret Hart against John Cena in a match for the United States Championship in which he had an injured arm, still managed to kick out of the AA, and then got Cena's stamp of approval after the match. Like, I don't care that he lost the match. He's a made man right now.
You couldn't have asked for a better debut for a babyface than what Sami Zayn got tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, again, go and listen to our live reactions, because if I start talking about it, we're gonna have another big discussion all over again. I feel like our live reaction speaks for both of us better than we ever could trying to replicate it here. But I should say this: the timing is crazy perfect, because I just saw my friend James just reacting to Sami Zayn, because I guess he's behind on Raw and he is freaking out. So everybody lost it tonight seeing Sami Zayn. Just amazing.
Yeah, I think that the key here is go watch live reactions, because we recorded them for a reason.
Absolutely. So, back from the break after all that, we see the Bella Twins that are walking backstage, and New Day are still celebrating.
That's such a great shot. Yeah, that was awesome.
Like, yeah, and then the Bella Twins are kind of rolling their eyes. And then Renee Young, she's waiting on comments from Zayn after his performance. And then the New Day walk up and interrupt her, so they're still getting screen time. I'm telling you, dude, I loved how much they were featured tonight. They need to do this with more undercard people. Like, what they did with the New Day as Tag Team Champions, they need to find stars every once in a while when they feel like they're on a hot streak or whatever, and they need to do this with them. Like, give them a backstage segment, give them a match, you know, really feature them. The New Day walk up, they inquired of Renee, you know, why aren't you trying to interview us? Because, you know, we got a big win tonight, and, you know, now everybody's going to know that New Day rocks. And, of course, got cut off, what sucks. Cesaro and Kid do interrupt. They make fun of the New Day. I love Cesaro because he looks at Woods and he's like, you have a PhD? And you mean to tell me that you can't understand that they're saying New Day sucks? And yeah, they just go back and forth about that. So, Cesaro and Kid, Team Uppercats, do get the better of the New Day on this exchange because they start clapping and saying New Day sucks, which drives them into a frenzy, and they leave. So, again, nice little teaser, great build-up there for their return match, presumably at Payback. And, you know, we'll see where that goes. But then we get a segment that I marked out for, because the Bellas come out, and I'm thinking, well, is it going to be a Divas tag? You know, what are they going to do? You know, rumors of Charlotte, like, how's this all going to shake out? But it's announced
No match.
no match. Nikki Bella was announced, so assumed she was going to compete in something. But they get attacked. They get attacked by Naomi and Tamina.
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
For those of you that don't know, ladies and gentlemen, just for those of you that have only just started watching TWitWoW, well, listening to TWitWoW maybe since we started doing Lucha Underground, or any time between the last time Tamina Snuka was on WWE television and now, John freaking loves Tamina. I personally, not that big of a fan, think she's better suited as sort of like the heel muscle role because I don't think she's very good in the ring. But John freaking loves Tamina.
Oh, yeah, I feel like her best run, because I kind of have to agree with you, Ashton. Like, I feel like, because I don't know, I do like her in that muscle role. She was really at her best when she was a babyface, just kind of dominating everybody, and that's when Beth Phoenix was actually champion, and they had their little feud. I'm like, oh, man, it's Tamina's time. Just like I feel like now, it's Naomi's time, and this is the second time that Tamina's done this whole heel muscle role, because she just got done being the muscle for a Divas champion, before injury with AJ. And now, she's doing the same thing for Tamina. Well, I mean, Naomi, but Naomi has yet to win the gold yet. But they take out both of the Bellas. First of all, Nikki gets super kicked by Tamina, which is great. And then Brie gets taken out, I think, with an enziguri by Naomi.
Yep.
And then she says, your time, this whole twin magic crap, it's over, because this is what family really is. And she walks up, and Naomi has a great look wearing all black. She's got dreadlocks that she looks really good with, very unique look.
Yep.
I am so ready for Naomi to be
And
Divas champion.
by the way, for those of you that don't really get the whole family ties thing with Naomi and Tamina, the way that they play it up on as far as kayfabe goes, Tamina is meant to be the Usos' cousin.
Right.
And everyone knows that Naomi is married to, I believe, Jimmy Uso.
Yes, that's correct. But
so that's where the whole "this is what real family does" or whatever she said was all about.
But two things. One, and everybody that started watching TWitWoW should know this. I mean, yes, I love Tamina, but I think Naomi may be my favorite women's wrestler right now.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I've said it to you multiple times just in regular conversation and on TWitWoW. I am so ready for Naomi to finally be Divas champion. Like, I think I've been ready forever now, but really now, because I'm loving her heel work. I'm loving that she's got muscle. And to that point, to kind of make the transition to my second point, how does this even make Naomi a heel? Because if people remember, at Extreme Rules, Naomi only lost because Brie Bella got involved in the finish by kicking Naomi in the head. By enlisting Tamina, that negates the whole outside interference, so Naomi is finally going to get what she's been asking for this whole time, a fair opportunity at the Divas Championship. I really don't see how Naomi is the heel, which is still kind of a problem because I know they want to make the Bellas the baby faces. But you know
Would
what?
it be unfair for me to play the race card and say that she's the heel because she's black?
You know what, dude? Honestly, maybe that's it.
I think it's ridiculous because that seems to be the only thing that could possibly make her the heel right now.
Well, right, though, because,
the only other thing, I mean, if you really think about it, she did sneak attack the Bellas tonight, but if you really kind of look at the bigger picture, it was just payback for all the times that they'd done that to her.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
so basically, when a black woman stands up for herself and says that she deserves the same that most white women get in the business, she's the bad guy.
That is so shameful. And you're right, though, because really, and here's the thing, it is a sensitive conversation to have, but if you look at the facts, I mean, what other reason is there for Naomi to be pigeonholed as a heel? Absolutely none. I feel like all of her gripes since her turn, was it a bit questionable that she attacked Paige? Yeah, maybe, but she justified that by saying, why was I even in this? Why did a Battle Royal even happen? I beat Nikki Bella multiple times before this match even happened. Every gripe she's had a justification for. I feel like a heel is the opposite of that. I feel like a heel either manufactures gripes out of thin air or has them and just really can provide no substantive justification where it seems like it just seems like you're making excuses or whatever. Naomi has done neither of these things. To me, she's the babyface in this, and I really hope she just beats Nikki Bella pillar to post at Payback, and if Brie Bella gets involved, she can kindly eat a super kick from Tamina for all I care. It's Naomi's time, bitches. Get used to it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I love this segment. I'm so happy that I can be so excited about Divas segments, I swear. But we have Sheamus and King Barrett versus Dolph Ziggler and Neville. And, Barrett cuts a promo, and he says, get used to these 4 words. all hail King Barrett. And so, he's really playing up winning the King of the Ring tournament. I hope he does good things, but I was even telling Ashton, you see, that's what happens. Barrett wins the King of the Ring, the same tournament that Ambrose was a part of, and I'm willing to bet the house that Barrett's going to end up having just another match with Neville at Payback, whereas Ambrose is in the main event for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Funny how that works out.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sheamus and King Barrett versus Dolph Ziggler and Neville. Not a bad match. I mean, a very, straightforward kind of tag match. I think this crowd definitely hot for the babyfaces, behind the babyfaces. You made the point that I found interesting because, we always have those conversations while we're watching the product that you feel like Dolph has really become a star in these last, what did you say, like 6-7 months? And you just feel like Dolph's really kind of come into his own there, and I happen
Yeah.
to agree.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where just like his entrance and the little screen promo that he cut, it just feels like he is a main eventer now. It just feels natural.
Definitely. I mean, again, the great thing about a guy like Seth being champion, I could see Dolph getting in the title picture at some point in Seth's reign. I mean, Brock Lesnar is always that looming figure because when he comes back, I think a lot of people, myself included, are just thinking that's when Rollins' title reign ends, but maybe he'll surprise us. But yeah, I mean, I could totally buy Ziggler as a championship contender with a guy like Rollins holding the championship. So he's definitely in that main event here, and he could be thrust in at any time. Hell, Ambrose was, so it could certainly work with Dolph.
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about Ambrose is he's that over that they literally could have inserted him into the main event at any time, and it just so happens that they chose tonight.
Exactly, yeah, man, it's beautiful. End of the matchup comes, Dolph and Sheamus are really going at it. Sheamus dumps Dolph hard on the outside, like on an announce chair, and really just kind of disposes of him. Ash was even kind of worried that Dolph might be hurt. I share similar concerns.
Like, you know how, like, with a computer chair, how it's got, like, the seat itself is kind of on, like, a single thick round post, and then the post goes down, and you've got the wheels sprawled out.
Right, yeah.
It looked like Dolph hit his head on one of the wheels.
Oh, man, I hope he doesn't have another concussion.
I know, yeah, that's my thing.
Yeah. But then Neville looks like, he's gonna go for the red arrow because he kicks Barrett in the head in the corner. Seems like he has the setup. He takes care of Sheamus on the outside, though, with a drop kick, and then he's just thinking, I'm going to do a springboard off the ropes. But the bull hammer, I mean, we knew this long ago, but of course it's been RKO'd, so Barrett is able to get Neville with the bull hammer in midair, and he pins him. King Barrett and Sheamus get the victory. I think this was smart. I was actually kind of worried about the babyfaces getting the win here, but I'm glad that Barrett's first Raw as King Barrett, he gets a win. I think that was smart booking. I want to see his momentum keep going. And, I mean, I don't know. I think he's one of the favorites to win Money in the Bank this year. A lot of people, again, are picking Ambrose. But, I mean, with Barrett, everything he has going on, I wouldn't mind it at all. So we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, let's, I will say, though, Neville looked great.
Absolutely. Yeah, I really, really appreciated how he looked. I feel like, if him and Barrett have a rematch, I could even see him winning that rematch, to be honest. We'll have to see what happens. But after that, we do get Roman Reigns versus Randy Orton, our main event of the evening.
And let's be honest with ourselves, this was a throwaway match that really the entire thing served the purpose of making Dean Ambrose look like he belongs in the main event.
Oh, yes, it did. And you know what? Again, really smart booking because they just thrust him in there. I think they knew that they really had to make him seem somehow like he belonged, like he was a legitimate threat, which, I mean, he already is in like one context given his feud with Rollins and everything, but I mean, they really had to establish him in this picture since his addition was so sudden, and I think they did that masterfully here.
Yep.
Match itself wasn't bad. I mean, Seth was on commentary playing up the heel stuff like, oh, J&J Security cost me my match earlier with Ambrose, and I don't need anybody because I'm the greatest champion of all time. And, he says, I trust Kane, Kane is a plan, whatever. Because I think Jamie Noble was the special guest timekeeper. Joey Mercury had a role himself. Kane was kind of standing watching everything. But these two guys, they're going back and forth. And there really isn't a winner because when Reigns is about to go on the outside and dive on Orton after their exchanges, Kane pulls him out. And then the whole authority just starts beating on Orton and Reigns. Yeah. And Dean Ambrose comes out to make the save, and that's when things start breaking down because they clean house, and all that's left are the four people in the Payback main event. Reigns, Orton, Ambrose, and Rollins.
Yep.
Reigns spears Rollins, so that's
Yep.
one. Rollins eats another spear. That's the second straight week he's eating a spear. Man, that's gotta suck. Orton gets his payback from the start of the show, from the opener. He hits an RKO on Reigns. And then I love Dean's look. I love the friendship him and Roman Reigns have.
I know, they're such bros.
Because he looks at us like, dude, that was my bro. That was my bro! And he turns Orton around, kicks him in the gut, and he hits Dirty Deeds.
Yep.
So, Dean Ambrose is the last man standing. Dude, if that championship belt was in the ring and Dean actually held it, I would have lost my shit all over again.
Oh, God. I guess that's what it would have made it a 10 out of 10 show, right?
Yeah, right? Just seeing that imagery. Dean Ambrose at the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Oh, one day. But for what this was, dude, this was perfect. Again, I think I even said when it closed, they did it. They had a perfect game. This will probably never happen again, folks. Really. Yeah. You need to go back. You need to watch this Raw. You need to get your children, sit them down, and watch this Raw with them, because this is never happening again. You need to explain to them. They never are this good, this consistently for all 3 hours. Dude, I loved it. I mean, do you have anything else you want to say before we get into our next segment?
I just love that over the course of one 3-hour show, Dean Ambrose went from sort of toiling in the nowheres of the WWE to main eventing and looking like a legit contender in the main event.
Yes, that's what being over can do, though. And see, that's why I don't really want to give up on anybody. And see, like, again, this isn't a pot shot at the IWC or anything, but when people are like, oh, that guy's done or this and that, no. If they have a connection with the crowd or if they really have something viable, you can always get them to where you want them to be. And in
Which is why you haven't given up on Cesaro yet, right?
Absolutely not. Cesaro can make it. I'm not giving up on anybody, I'm people that I especially believe in, like the Cesaros and the Ambroses. They wanted Ambrose in the main event tonight. Guess what? They got him there, and nobody's complaining about it. Nobody's crying foul about it. I can't believe that, because you can, because Dean is that damn good. Get used to it. So that's
wow. Somebody's angry about people.
I mean, well, it's just like it's the write-offs, and it's like, oh, what's Dean going to do, this and that? And I know you and I were even having our doubts, but it's not like you and I were throwing in the towel. Yes, we said he needs something to do, but it never really felt like, oh, Dean, he's just done or whatever. And now he's competing for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. So happy with the 180 his career's done in one freaking night.
But yeah, it's so funny because somebody on Reddit actually came out and said that they are going to be skipping Raw for the first time in, I want to say, like 3 years tonight. And the reasons they gave were that they said that Ambrose doesn't have any storyline. The main event storyline is meh. I could do that same laugh again at that. Nothing else is really interesting, and he doesn't want to be watching tonight. And he talked about how something big is going to happen for sure, because the last 2 Raws that he missed were the return of The Rock to host WrestleMania 27, I believe it was, or 6, and the return of Brock in 2012. So those are the last 2 Raws that he missed, and now he missed tonight too. So what a freaking idiot.
And what I think makes this Raw, just so stellar in its own right, this isn't coming off the heels of WrestleMania. This isn't coming off the heels of, like, say, maybe the week prior, The Rock made a surprise appearance or Stone Cold did. No, last week's Raw was par for the course. This Raw really would have had nothing to prove, coming off of something spectacular. And yet they hit a slugger tonight.
Yep.
Out of the freaking park, baby. Out of the freaking park. With that said, let's move on to our next segment. High spots and low shots. It is so difficult for me to come up with a low shot, but you know what? I think this might be the second straight week I've done it, or maybe you did it last week. Heath Slater, even though we didn't talk about this segment in our formal TWitWoW because we did live reactions, I mean, Heath Slater originally did step up to John Cena again to get his match, and he was taken out by a single right hand from Bret Hart. That was enough.
It wasn't just a right hand, it was a mic shot. He hit him with the mic.
Well, I guess I can count it, but still. Way to go, Heath. Way to go. So who's your low shot?
Oh man, that's a tougher question than it should be.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, well, man. I think, see, that's the thing too. Like, I can't make Orton Well, you know what? No, I'm going to make Seth Rollins my low shot, because he loses to Dean Ambrose, causing Dean Ambrose to get added to the championship match. And then tonight, he finally thought that he would be able to kind of get an upper hand on the guys, and Ambrose ruins his day again, causing him to get speared by Reigns.
Yeah, rough night for Rollins to be sure.
That was a lot of alliteration. Rollins' rough night, a storybook by John.
That would be amazing, and everyone knows it. But my high spot, really difficult, but you know what? I had my heart set on this for like the last 10 minutes when I was mulling it over, knowing we'd get to this segment. The New Day.
Yes!
The New Day are my high spot. Not only do they beat Randy Orton and Roman Reigns, which, you know, commentary wanted to play up. Oh, they had a man advantage. No, screw you, Michael Cole. It was Randy Orton and Roman Reigns in the main event picture. New Day, I didn't give them a chance to really win this match, and they did. Ever since they've turned, their momentum has been ridiculous. If I was a stockbroker, I would tell you to buy stock in the New Day right now because it doesn't seem like it's going to stop. And it didn't even stop after the win. They were featured multiple times throughout the night and even got to continue their build-up with Team Uppercats. These guys, I think, are the best thing going in WWE right now. It is a New Day. Yes, it is. High spot. So who's your high spot?
Well, because I felt like you would pick one of the two guys, I'm going to have to give an honorary high spot to Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
Because he had an amazing night, but as amazing of a night as he had, he did lose his match, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so to me, the only real high spot that makes sense tonight... Oh, crap. Maybe I will give it to Sami Zayn. I had someone else in mind. Oh, Dean Ambrose. I'm an idiot. Yeah.
Yeah, I was waiting for it. I was like, Dean Ambrose.
I was like, I had a brain fart. My brain, I just completely shut down, and I forgot who the name was. Like, I was thinking Neville. No, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, Dean Ambrose. Zayn's my honorary high spot. Dean Ambrose is my actual high spot. Yeah, I mean, between our three high spots, good God, has anyone had as good of a night as any of those three entities had tonight?
I know, right? Ridiculous. This is one time where, like, I mean, I've always loved our high spots, but these seem especially on point tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, who really had a better night? Like, if we were to come together on one high spot, it would certainly be Dean Ambrose, though. That's why I love your pick, and I was really hoping you'd go with it. You actually had me nervous there for a second, I'm not gonna lie. But, you know, he goes from, I really got nothing to do, man, I'm so bored, to, oh, well, look at that, I got an opportunity to be in the main event, and he takes it, and he owns it, and he's gonna main event Payback for the WWE World title. So freaking good.
I'm gonna give a sneaky high spot to Kane.
Yeah!
Because he's the one that's making all this happen.
Oh, Kane, just do what you're doing, man, because you're making the title reign of Rollins all the more interesting, have to overcome all these odds like a cowardly heel not wanting to face them, but then he triumphs anyway. I'm loving the reign of Seth Rollins right now, and I do have to give Kane some credit for that in this capacity, very specifically. So, with that said, let's get into
don't you dare put him back in the ring, WWE.
Yeah, really. Now our next segment, Raw Request. I just want my Raw request that every Raw be like this one, but I know that that's not a viable request to make.
That's viable. I don't know. We could just agree on that and move on.
You know what? I think my Raw request is going to be really continue to showcase Dean. I know you're probably going to use the SmackDown to do it because, again, I mentioned the contract signing, but give him mic time in the ring. Have him go toe-to-toe with Orton on the mic. Have him confront Roman Reigns. Be like, hey, you know, you're my friend, but I'm going to have to do what I'm going to have to do to become the WWE World Heavyweight Champion at Payback. Have him remind everybody about his history with Rollins, because everybody in that match has a beef with Rollins. Roman Reigns and Randy Orton were able to recount their beef tonight. Dean should be able to recount his and just kind of, you know, again, give his side of things. So really make Dean look like an absolute stud going in this match. That's my Raw request. You've done a brilliant job at, you know, tonight as a starting point. Now finish strong is just my request.
All right, yeah. My Raw request is going to be not necessarily have every Raw be like this Raw, but more specifically, I want every Raw to feature as many feuds as this one did, because in this Raw alone, it really did feel like the whole show was kind of built around the main event. But on that same note, we got huge storyline progression for New Day versus Cesaro and Kid, Ryback versus Bray Wyatt, John Cena versus Rusev, and we got some character progression for characters like Fandango and Lana. Yeah, like there was a lot of just things moving forward rather than everything just spinning around in a circle.
Absolutely, Ashton. Completely agree on all counts. This is what happens when certain talents get featured and they're able to do their thing. All the feuds really get talked about. Nothing is forgotten
Yeah.
or dropped. Again, like, wow, it feels so good to be so positive about a Raw like this. But with that said, let's get into our main event segment, 30-second hot seat. Ashton, what do you got for me this? I'm in such a good mood, dude. Just ask me anything, really. Let's do this.
All right, I'm going to keep it really simple then.
All right.
Do you think that this was Sami Zayn's official debut and he's going to continue to make appearances on the main roster, meaning that he is officially a main roster superstar and his last NXT appearance will be at NXT TakeOver Unstoppable? Or do you think that this was just a one-time thing because it was in his hometown and it gave him an opportunity to get showcased in a match against the top guy in the WWE main roster, and it was a way for them to hype up for Unstoppable, but also for the big E60 coming up tomorrow night on ESPN? You have 30 seconds, and your time starts now.
I've actually decided that this was his formal debut, and it wasn't just because of the arguments you brought up about, NXT, tapings and how the structure of debuts work, but I think WWE would be taking a huge gamble to pull the rug out from under Zayn when he just had a very competitive United States Championship match against John freaking Cena that they expect us all to forget about him, in the preceding weeks. So yes, I do believe that this was Sami Zayn's formal debut.
All right, you did that in about 24 seconds. Great job.
Yeah, baby. With that said, do you have any concluding remarks you want to make about this Raw or anything that transpired within it?
I hope that the Raw tonight, the momentum that we have from Raw tonight, and the crazy thing about tonight is the crowd was good, but this wasn't a show that was made significantly better by the crowd. The show was just that good, and the crowd was a supplement.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, I think we really do need to make that distinction, because a lot of the time when we have an amazing hype show like this, it's like, oh my God, the crowd was so amazing. They reacted to all the right people and they were going crazy for the guys that we loved and they hated the guys that we hate. But tonight, like, they didn't necessarily give like guys like Ryback and Bray Wyatt and that kind of thing like a huge reception. They didn't pop huge for Dean Ambrose. And yeah, they did pop, but it wasn't like that roof shattering kind of like Stone Cold Steve Austin pop that I'm sure Brian would have gotten if he would have shown up here. But the crowd was just good enough to not drag down the show, and the writing and the booking and the storytelling of the show itself was absolutely A+.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Couldn't have said it any better myself, so I'm not even going to try to. With that said, guys, this has been Raw. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to comment and subscribe on YouTube. And remember, I just want to remind everybody one last time, we did do live reactions to John Cena's U.S. Open challenge tonight. So be sure to check that out. We had a lot of fun doing it. Be sure to talk about this Raw review. What do you think about Ambrose's addition in the Fatal 4-Way? How do you think that match is going to go down? What do you think about Naomi and Tamina, being together to kind of negate the whole twin magic kind of factor of the Bellas? What was your favorite segment from this whole amazing show tonight? Be sure to take the conversation over to TWitWoW, an amazing pro wrestling group on Facebook. You'll get to interact with a lot of very passionate wrestling fans like ourselves. Or if you just want to interact with Team TWitWoW here personally, you can do that on the TWitWoW subreddit that Ashton personally created. And you can just engage us on all things pro wrestling there. And we will see you again for our Lucha Underground review, where Hernandez, I don't know, he may be trying to get in the head of Prince Puma, and the question remains, what role is Konnan going to play? As, kind of like the leader, kind of father figure to Puma, or is he just going to embrace him just to stab him in the back and align with Hernandez? Until then, tune in and peace out.